Good morning, everybody. It's Javier, and I'm super excited to be with you here this morning to share with you some information that can help take your success to the next level, and more than anything, help other people along the way. So I want to thank everybody that took the time to be here this morning as well. We have a few stragglers coming in right now that we're going to allow to come in as we move forward. And having said that, we're going to get right into it because we want to make sure that we share this information with you, because this is, as they say, hot off the press. We had a good week. We also had a not so good week in the customer service side of the house. A few people that were not too happy. We had a case lost from one of our agents. And so they all had one thing in common. And that's precisely what I'm going to talk to you about here this morning. And hopefully everybody here understands the importance of continuing to have business and keep the business on the books, if you would. And that's super important for a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to cover some of them. Some are self-explanatory, but like I said, I don't like it when we lose business. I don't like it when agents are run off out of the business. And in some cases they should. I think that they, handle business, submitting business that they themselves either didn't understand. And I'll usually just hope that it's just ignorance on the part of the agent, which is not acceptable. And that it's not what it appears to be in most of the cases, which is just agents not knowing how to explain something. So they just simply skimp right over it and end up paying the price. And then we all pay the price as well. And so anyways, that's never good. So we're going to talk about that. And that's going to surround, that revolves around what you see on the screen, which is going to be the surrender charges. And we're not going to get into the training of surrender charges. We've done that a million times. And I think that it's just by now, I've been harping on surrender charges for over 10 years, well over 10 years, because I do believe that's potentially the Achilles heel to the IUL, when an agent is either A, uninformed, which again is his or her fault for not getting informed and educated, or they truly are on purpose just not mentioning it. And that is wrong at so many levels, and in my opinion, at every level. And if that's ends up being the end of their business, well, I'm kind of glad it happens, to be honest with you, because of the simple fact that it only ends up hurting the industry and those of us that stay in the business. We'll talk about that in a few different examples I'm going to give you here in just 1 second as well. So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. So get ready. If you're not going to unmute yourself, you're wasting your time coming here, because I had one agent that I was having that he was having issues, and one of the things that I was going over some of their marketing challenges and this and that, and ended up telling me, well, I think the biggest problem for me is that I'm just not a people person. And I told him, I think you're in the wrong business. I mean, there's no way in hell you're not going to interact with people. You have to interact with people to a certain degree, and you have to know how to do that. That explains everything: lack of production, success, recruiting, and so on. And so if you change that, then I think you have a fighting chance. If you don't, then, I think you're dead in the water. And that's a different story. That's just somebody refusing to come out of their comfort zone. But for me, it really does upset me when people go out of their way. And like I said, if you've been, coming to my webinars for the last, or live meetings for the last, 15 years, 16 years, that I start and I always end with surrender charges. And to me, that tells me a lot about how prepared agent is, and also a lot about their character, because the common denominator in every single case that was handled this week, every single case, the surrender charges were not mentioned. In every single case, these agents have been to the webinars. And also in every single case, they remained quiet, meaning they never participated. So to me, if that's the end of them, with all due respect, don't let the door hit you in the butt on your way out, because of the simple fact that we just don't need those people here. We don't need that kind of stuff here. And so for me, it is something that really should be taken to heart, that we have a tremendous responsibility here, man. We have products that are intended to be with somebody for life. Now, that's a good thing. I have never found one negative thing about surrender charges. Never. Unless, wait, I'll get to it in just 1 second, which I'll show you just fine. So let's just go with first things first, a couple of updates on a couple of different fronts. Number one, not this Monday, but the following Monday, which is whatever the hell the date is. Again, not this Monday, next Monday, I leave for Cabo. It's a big deal. We've been negotiating back and forth with the situation with Cabo that I've been telling you guys about. And for those of you that weren't here last week, I'm not going to get into it because I'm not going to bring it up anymore until we have something solid, until I see it, until I sign it, and so on, and something tangible to share with you as well. But for those that know what I'm talking about, it's a huge deal. And part of the reason it's such a huge deal is because I'm on a mission to get people to enjoy life as much as possible. Work hard, play hard. And if you don't play hard, at least play. And expand your horizons. I think it's a perfect thing. The reason Marcella and I have been looking for a place in Cabo for the longest time is because it's just literally an hour and a half out of LAX, one time zone off, which is perfect. I mean, we're talking about if you go, my daughter, one of my the RN, the nurse, she's coming with me with my grandson, and one of the things you'll learn that if you do this Cabo thing, there's ways to do it on the cheap like you wouldn't believe. So, I went from paying, 200 grand cash for my portion of a place that we're going to buy to now paying only 20 something. And so that's pretty cool. I'm going to do something that's a little different, but as it relates to the program, I mean, I'm saving so much money because now I'm only going to pay. I'm giving him 10,000. It's only 2,500. Yeah, give him. I don't like debt, so I'm just going to put a bigger down payment of 10 grand and get it out of the way. But having said that, what's cool is that when you look at places like Alaska Airlines, which is who we use when we go to Cabo, they have what are called saver fares. Saver fares to Cabo, which is the one that my daughter got, was I believe $57 each way to Cabo. So anyways, that's the perfect getaway. That's the perfect way, in my opinion, to enjoy life. It's no sense in work, or just surviving, because tomorrow's not promised. And so I think it's important to do that. Excuse me. For me, part of the reason that I'm also doing it is to force my kids to get out there to the world more often. And that's what we're going to be doing. So it's a big week, not this one, again, the following week, because we are going to be able to go ahead and show you. I'm going to do a lot of broadcasts privately for those that are on that list that requested info last week. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And I'll keep you posted as always. I have a quick question. I'm not licensed. Took a course a while back. What class do I need? California website to take the state exam. What you need to do is, if you did the class already, should be good for the, I don't know if you took the 52 hours, which is the one we recommend, or you can do just the life. But we have life and annuities and everything else is the full 52 course, hour course. Firstfinancialsecurity.com. When you go to firstfinancialsecurity.com, click on training and appointments, and that will take you to every requirement you need for whatever state you might be in. For you, California, of course, and all you need to do is literally schedule it. You can take the test now from the comfort of your home. You don't have to go to the testing center if you don't want to. So it's easier than ever before to get up and running. And most importantly, get with your upline, the direct upline, your R&D, as we call him, regional marketing director, who will walk you through every step of the way to get you up and running. Yeah, there you go. It's not offered in the back office under AD Banker. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. And they offer you everything. And even if you already took the class, you don't need to take the class. They'll still provide you with the actual steps you need to get yourself up and running. Also, I want to mention this to you. It is very important. What I do, I don't coach anymore. I don't do one-on-ones like I used to. I just don't have that kind of time. But what I always emphasize to everybody, that if you want to be good, if you really want to be good, and to me, my definition of being good is you putting your clients first, number one. Number two, that you last. You're in one place for a while. Otherwise, you're just like a tumbleweed, floating around the damn, desert. You don't want to do that. You want to plant yourself somewhere. You want to grow. You want to thrive. And if you want to do that, in my opinion, it's super important that you understand that I don't care what you're selling. I don't care if you're, let's just say, selling life insurance, or if you're selling mortgages, or if I don't care what it is that you are offering. The quickest way to lasting success is to learn how to market by the way of leveraging stories. What you have here is something called Story Matters. It's a course that I highly recommend to everybody because it will help you understand that the mistake that most people make, if they're selling real estate, they want to learn everything about real estate, every platform on real estate, or with life insurance, they want to learn every carrier, every product, every ins and outs. And yeah, you should know your stuff, But before you know your stuff, you need to learn how to sell. Otherwise, you're going to know a lot about something you can't sell to anybody. And you're going to be a very knowledgeable broke person. And we don't want that. We want you to balance the two, but put success first. Learn how to sell. And whether you're selling a product or whether you're recruiting somebody, it's still a sell. You need to learn to do that. And so I'm here to share something with you that I believe you should at least consider. Last week, as a matter of fact, I talked to you about the importance of how that ancient Greek used to say that you can never step in the same river twice. Where we are today is different from where we were last week. Who you are today is different than who you were last week. You have to be better. You have to know more this week. You have to bring more value than you could bring last week to your people, to yourself, and so on. And that's very important. Who can tell me real quick, who's the Greek philosopher, the ancient Greek philosopher that said you cannot step in the same river twice? Type it into the comment section real quick. I'll give you 10 seconds. I don't want anybody Googling it or any crap like that. And we have one person submitting it. No, good try, Teresa. Good try. Socrates. It's not Socrates. Good, very good try. All right. Well, like I said, I gave it to you guys last week, so you should know it. All right, then it's over. Then just go ahead and continue. Heraclius is who said it. And so, that's the importance. Now, did you know it? Somebody just, who is that? It's info. Shachika, is that you? Did you know it? Okay. All right. You Google it or something? That's cool. There you go. That's cool. Yeah. Heraclitus said it, which is really, really true. But, like I said, it's true. You can never step in the same river twice. And so you're going to have to better yourself. Just because the most education we get is through what's called continuing education. And we only do that because we have to. And most of the time we just fly through it, get to the questions and guess until we get all the right answers and we get our hours or certificates and we move forward. Don't want to do that. So anyways, this is a program I highly recommend. It starts and it ends with how to develop your story. Now, ironically, your story doesn't have to mean you. It could be somebody around you. It could be one of your clients, but you're going to have to develop what we call, a compelling story in whatever it is you're trying to do. And so whether I'm trying to sell mortgages, I have my compelling story that I lead with, while everybody else leads with this corporate brochure crap that I hate. And most people hate it. That's why people don't buy it. People will buy you or they will say no to you. You're going to have to develop your story. So in almost anything I do, I always start and I end with my story, even if I have to touch upon the corporate side. And there's a time for that and a place for that. You better have your story. And if you want to know how to do that, I'm not going to teach you. You can go ahead and visit this website that I'm going to give you. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get a penny. I don't get a referral. I don't get anything. This is just something I really do believe in. And I love how it starts by telling you that because of the digital age today, it's never been easier to tell your story to the masses. But because anybody can do that, it's never been harder for people to care. And so that's why when people come out and start with the whole, National Life Group, 1848, A+ rating from the rating company, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's just the reality. Nobody cares. So if you're going to go do that, at least do it in such a way. And again, there's a time for that. But you must lead and close with you. And this is a great, great way to do it. Even if you just simply signed up for their information, there's a lot. And I do mean a lot. And what they give you for free. And this is basically the package that you see here. They are cheap, medium price, and what I would call higher price. I wouldn't call it expensive, because if you think education is expensive, empowering yourself is expensive, try ignorance. That is expensive. Year after year, trying to quote, make this the year, make this a year, make this a year. That's expensive. And so anyways, the one I recommend you try and you start and you stay with, to be honest with you, all you really need is their, like this says, write their story to grow your business online for just $49. And it's pretty cool. They have a pro, they have a premium. You don't really need that unless you're really leverage the first one, then take some of your gains, some of your profits, and leverage it into that. But like I said, the common denominator in people that do well is they understand the power of a story. Now, the best story is your personal story, but sometimes we don't have a personal story related to that product or that service, but we better have a personal or a story from somebody that we can borrow until we develop our own. And just so you know, FFS was designed to run on your story. And if you don't have your story, that means you skipped a filter or two, by the way. And then that's going to make it that much more difficult. Anyways, if you want to know more, storymattersacademy.com. Again, I'm not an affiliate. I don't get a penny out of any of this stuff, but I do believe these guys because I've been doing this for many, many years. And what they've done is just package it for 49 bucks, package it in such a way that if you apply it, you're going to see a tremendous increase in your income and overall success as well. When I market personally, I always market with my personal story or stories, if you would. Just posted this real quick on Facebook the other day. And part of the reason that I posted, just so you know, I don't like social media. I don't need, quote, friends. I don't need people to say, I like it, or you're cool, or good for you. I don't need that crap. Personally, I don't. I put it out there because it's part of what I'm telling you. You can leverage a story that you might not quite have yet. And so what you see here is a post that I put. It was my Thursday. It was my grandson. That's him right there that I'm carrying, his first birthday. He made it to a whopping 1. And so only one person shared it. And she shared it because she understands marketing, by the way. That's why she's making over $1 million a year. Not to congratulate me, not to brag about me, not to stroke my ego, but she's just simple because my post was simple. My grandson's Jack's first birthday. He spent the day at Disneyland and dinner at Goofy's Kitchen. His main gift from me was an annual premium payment to his $1 million baby, IUL. That was the post. And so she read into it. She understood what it was. And she just simply shared it and said, every parent, grandparent, auntie, and all should provide the gift of life insurance like Javier. I mean, that's what this is, where it cross markets each other by leveraging the power of not just the pictures. You don't know my damn grandson, and that's okay. But it's what I'm telling you, because while I was at this party, by the way, I ended up selling a total of 3 IULs, and I didn't sell. Guess how I sold it? Guess. Anybody? Unmute yourself. Anybody. And this is a training. I'm not bragging. Please don't take it the wrong way. Anybody.
What was the question? Your grandson.
That's it. Guess who was at this party? Guess what other attendees had in common? This is my daughter's putting this birthday party on for my grandson. So it's her and her friends. Get what her friends had in common.
They had babies.
Parents.
They had babies. And what I said is we gave them a gift. It was a box, a car, a toy. I don't know what the hell it was. And I don't even care. I don't care for junk. And so I just simply said, my wife's like, oh, here's our gift. I go, and by the way, just so you know, you see just one gift here, but just so you know, we're giving him his second, because we gave him the first when he was born, a second contribution, which is only $100 a month. I pay annually $1,200. And so we're putting it towards his $1 million baby IUL. And we're like, what is that? And once they asked, what is that? They were done. It was over. And so all I did, my ultimate marketing tool, which I'll show it to you right now, as a matter of fact, bear with me, please, for 1 second. So if we're at the party, you're at the party with me, you can either sit there and eat cake, or hopefully you can see my phone here, just 1 second. Hold on, let me see if this pops up. Just 1 second, please. And so when people say, well, I didn't have my laptop, I was asking, well, did you have your phone? Yeah, well, then there. And so, there you go. That's my phone. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to fire up the National Left group. And I told them the way it works is quite simple. Oh, God, please don't make me do this. The different accounts I have. So, so I was coughing. All right. So I go, yeah, it's very simple. It's a plan that does multiple things for them as Jack, and very, very simple. Let me just make sure that I go, very simple. Putting $100 a month, I just pay it annually. This is on top of whatever his parents are doing. But last year, as you can see, when he was born, I put in the first $1,200. Out of the 1,200, 800 are working on his behalf. And so what ends up happening, he has 166,000 of life insurance. And we're not talking about, God forbid, he passes, because if he does, there is the death benefit. No, we're doing it in case he comes down with cancer or any kind of disease that's critical, chronic, or terminal. We're covered. So mom can stay home and take care of him. We actually had clients do that. On top of that, there's a cash value element that's going to grow, allowing him to pay for either college. And my goal, because he's a big boy. I mean, his dad's 6'4", mom is like 5'10", 5'11". He's, well, one, but he's already wearing 24-month clothes. That clothes, he's half the length of Marcella already at one. And so hopefully he qualifies for hopefully a sports scholarship, or I don't know, something like that. And then the money continues to work for his first home. I mean, I don't know how many of you here own a home, which, by the way, none of them did. It's hard. And would you rather own a home, or would you rather rent? What if your child could own or rent? What would you pick for them on their behalf at 20, 21, 22, 24? Well, of course, we want them to own. And how are you going to make that happen? This plan allows you to do that. And if for whatever reason goes in the military, doesn't need down payment, and just gets into a home through the VA or something like that, the money continues to grow for the next generation. And what you did today, the seeds you planted today, continue to sprout even when you're not even here anymore. And one of them was, how does this work for a grown-up or an adult? I go, well, if you're an adult, you're a grown-up, you're a parent, and you don't have something like this, you're a fool. Because literally you're skating on thin ice. Something happens to you or your spouse. What happens to your son? What happens to the lifestyle? What happens to college? And so I ended up doing that. One of the people there, a person there was police officer. We ended up with a $400 for him. The other one was another nurse, a $400 IUL there, and a kids policy for $100. Different families, all of them right there. That's $900. That's $9,000 in target premium right there, roughly $9,000 at a birthday party. All because you empowered other people, but most importantly, what sold them on it? What do you think sold them on it? Was it the brochure that I didn't use? What was it?
That you were doing it for your family.
Let's call it
The
what
story.
it is.
Your story.
Thank you. The story. And then I go, oh, by the way, as an adult, you can do that here. I have, look at mine. This is one of the ones that I have because I have multiple. Now, I'm uninsurable right now. That's just the reality. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm glad that I got these policies while I could. Here's just a sample one, because that's how we got to 400. I go, look, I'm doing 400. In the beginning, I was like, man, I wonder if I'm going to miss it. I don't even think about it. I don't even know when the hell they take it out, but they do it automatically. But out of that, I have $23,000 value in it. Out of that, I have 20, that if I cancel it today, I walk away with 20,000. But let me ask you a question. When would you want to give up on your family? When would you want to stop protecting them in case something happens to you? When will you want to stop saving for your retirement? When? And all of them said, never. Well, that means the plan is probably going to have to stay with you for what? Well, forever. Exactly. And that's the beauty of this plan. One of them was a cop. I go, look, when you leave the department, because I was been there, done that. When you leave the police department, every benefit you have right now, you have a lot. Congratulations. But whenever you leave, everything stays behind with the exception of two things: your pension and health insurance if you stay there long enough. He goes, yeah, now we got to stay till 55. I go, well, call it 55. At least you have it. Most people don't have that, even if they stay till 65. But that's it. Life insurance, everything. Here, it's portable. It goes with you when you retire or when you quit or when you move on to another department and blah, 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 blah. But in this example, just knowing that I have $250,000 on this plan, $250,000 in case something happens, and it almost happened to me this past year, at least $250,000 from this plan. So far I gave him 30,000 and it turns into $250,000 tax-free. I mean, and out of the 30,000, I have 23,000 of it. So that means I've only paid 7,000 in the last 8-9 years or whatever it's been. I mean, where can we go do that? How much do you pay for your car insurance? Oh, about 200. Okay, 200. That's 2,400 a year. That's 24,000 in 10 years. And if you don't crash or put in a claim for anything, how much of the 24,000 do you get back? Well, nothing. I mean, think about it. And that's how I ended up with two $400 a month IULs. And what sold it again was the story. The story. And then, and I told them, here, when you want to buy your home, you can qualify. This counts as your reserves. If you look at the mortgage application, it tells you checking, savings, retirement accounts, 401ks, or cash value of a permanent life insurance policy. And that's what this is. So we have to get the money out to buy a house. No, this is reserves. Remember, this is long term. But if you do need money, you tap on this little loan thing, you request your funds right there. Are you sure? Yes, I want to continue. And from there, it tells me the minimum is 500. So if I take out the minimum, which is 500, and when I die, they just deduct it from a $250,000. So that means I'm going to leave 24,900. Very simple. And look at this. Look at this. I can just dictate right here. So if I want to do it, it's hard to get 10,000 exact. It's a pain in the ass. I don't know. I can't do it ever. So like there, I take out 10,000. I told them I'm going to go to Cabo, and I'm going to go ahead and, I want to put 10 grand down. So I could, in theory, take it out of here. If I take out 10 out of here, now it's going to reduce my life insurance, of course, by approximately 10,000 when I die someday. And they're like, well, what do I need to get it? I go, well, you need good health for starters. I don't qualify for it anymore. Thank God I got it back then. That's nothing, because they know what happened to me. The good news is that as long as you qualify now, you can't be booted out, because life happens to you later on. And guess what? Life will happen to you later on. And so, because we were talking about Cabo, they want to do the Cabo thing. Well, before you do Cabo, do this. And once you grow into this, and you will, then you can do Cabo. In the meantime, start saving somewhere else. I go, just my one little thing, and I was showing, because they're young kids, they're millennials. I go, Rob? Oh yeah, Robinhood. I go, well, guess what? On this one, this is where I'm getting the money from this one Robinhood account that I'm going to take it out of here. Well, here it's down, but I cashed out yesterday exactly $10,000 worth of VXP stock. I go, so I don't want to take it out of my savings. I don't want to take it out of here. Here, I put 6,500 and turned it to 15,000. I'm just taking 10. I'm putting it down there, and now I have no payments. I mean, very small one for $100. But I was, again, all I'm doing is I'm jumping around from what to what, from story to story. They're like, damn, well, when can we get together? I go, well, I can't do it this weekend, but I can do it maybe Monday, Tuesday. If not, I'll be gone next week. I know let's do it before, and it's a done deal. It's a wrap. It's a done deal. But what made this whole thing happen, again, is the story. You have to have a story, because either you lead and you sell with a story, ideally your story, or you have to rely on somebody else's story. But if you leave the world of stories, the universe of stories, you end up with salesmanship. And let me tell you, it sucks. It sucks, because if you're just simply pitching and selling on external factors, the chances of them keeping it long term is going to go down dramatically. Or God forbid, like I gave you that example, God forbid, they end up canceling and they take your reputation out with them on their way out. And most people just are done. A lot of us deal with friends, family. Reputation is everything. And once they know you're a scammer, or that you scam somebody, or that somebody lost money because of something you didn't tell them, then you're done. Which brings me to this. We're not going to get into the whole 5 things every life agent needs to know, because I've taught this a million times and you should know it. And so I'm just going to simply ask you a couple of questions. So this is going to be really quick if we have our usual, I don't want to talk type of situation. Number one, what are surrender charges? Who can tell me? And just answer one time, please. We don't want to get no more than one time. One person. What are surrender charges?
Is a charge that the client actually is going to receive if they decided they want to turn back and not keep that policy.
You're right. Just one last thing. If you had just one thing, you're right about everything. Congratulations and thank you. The last thing I would just continue with, if they do that before the surrender charge period expires. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you. Congratulations. Good job. All right, cool. And so let me ask you a question. you're doing the whole IUL, however you present it. I don't know how you guys do it, but you're pitching it to me. And either A, you're like 3% of the agents out there in the industry, by the way, not our company, in the industry, you're part of the 3% that mentioned the surrender charges up front, or you're part of the 97% of the agents who try to sweep it under the rug, only to have it become a death wish that's going to come back to bite them in the butt at some point. And so let's just say you are mentioning it. So you're part of doing your sell. How do you bring it up? At what point? How do you bring it up? And talk to me like I'm a client or a prospect, let's just say. Anybody.
Just review the policy for them and go over it. Show them within the policy.
I'm the agent, so we're role playing right now. I'm sorry, I'm the client. I'm the prospect. So talk to me like that. Like you're the agent. I'm the prospect. Role playing.
Javier, what was the question you cut out? It's my Wi-Fi. Can you just ask the question one more time, please?
The question is, I'm the prospect. You're pitching the IUL to me, a formal illustration, and I don't know when you bring up the surrender charges, but bring it up to me like you do. If you do, how do you bring it? What do you say? So at what point? I mean, I'm the prospect, so just talk to me like you talk to a prospect when you get to that part.
Hey, Javier.
Go ahead.
Hey, so I would. Oh, so you're the prospect. So, Javier, the first 10 years, and this is when I'm partway into the explanation of the illustration. This right here, as you see, where you're accumulating your value here. The first 10 years is what's considered a surrender period, and during that time, it's actually a declining period where if you stop the policy anytime in that period, there's a charge to you. That the company has to impose. That does decline, and after the 10th year, it's everything that's in your policy belongs to you. But as you can see right here, if you stop at 5 years, this is the amount that will be in there that's available to you upon your accumulated value. So let me ask you a question. Being that this is also a retirement, something you're going to be using for retirement, are you planning on stopping this policy anytime before you retire?
No.
Okay, great. So this shouldn't even be a problem to you. But like I said, it is a surrender period, and if you do decide you're going to stop anywhere in that 10-year period, you may want to choose another vehicle we can talk about.
Perfect. Thank you. That's a really good job. Congratulations. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Do it. Somebody else. And again, I'm not asking you to copy him. I'm just saying, how do you do it?
Javier, so hopefully it doesn't cut out. I've been having Wi-Fi problems, but I just basically tell people when it comes to surrender charges, anytime a company or an institution guarantees your money from loss, like a bank with a CD or any other thing, they're taking on the investment risk. They need to be able to hold on to the money for a period of time in order for them to make money for themselves and for you. And in order for you to be guaranteed, they need to ensure that you keep it with them for a period of time, and that's what the surrender penalty is for. You have access to it. It is safe from market loss, but in order for this to work, it needs to be with the institution for a period of time. And then you can go on with something like, well, how long, does this need to be liquid? Are you going to use it to buy a car or your next house? What's your situation?
Perfect. Thank you. Really, really good. Thank you. And okay, somebody else. Again, this is just more of a drill for skill that for some of you, it might be the first time because you don't do it, or some of you might be the 10th time or a millionth time because you always do it. Anybody. We're just getting ideas. And the whole purpose of us coming together is not just to listen, but to hopefully learn, especially from other people's experience. I'm not going to sit here and be, you're all instructor or something like that. I'm just out there trying to make it like you have been doing it for 15 years and actually over 20 now with life insurance. And ironically, I started on the other side of the fence with Primerica, because let me tell you something. It's a matter of time before somebody gets your client that's from Primerica. And the first thing we always did, and they still do to this day, they will say, oh, you have one of those IULs. Okay, cool. Well, first of all, congratulations. I mean, if that's meeting your needs. If you don't mind, can I swing by and just take a look at it with you, or maybe make a copy or take a few pictures of it. If you don't mind, I just want to make sure that you know what you have. And what they're doing, what we used to do, what anybody know, what is that called? What is that called? What I just described that I'm trying to do. And I'm not saying anything bad about Primerica, by the way. I'm not, I don't have time for that. But what is that called? Anybody been in Primerica? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Because most of the problems we had I didn't have the problems, by the way, but I'm saying the people that had it, that came to me with the problems, it all came about because of Primerica. And I said, good for them, good for Primerica. They're doing their job and you're not doing yours. And so therefore you should be gone. Very, very simple. What is it called?
I know it's conservation, but I can't remember if that's the exact name.
What is it? What did you say, Anthony?
I know it's conservation, but I can't remember if that's the exact name.
Kind of, yeah. Okay. Anybody know? Anybody else? Any other guesses? It's cool.
They're trying to replace it. Trying to do
Okay, but what is it called? It's a part of. It's one of the steps in Primerica. It's a good step, by the way. It's called. I'll give it to you. It's called the policy pickup.
Oh,
the policy pickup. And the thing we did back then was, now it's different. Now we have phones. So what they'll do, they'll go ahead and just take a picture. And guess what they go straight to? Guess.
The surrender charge.
The first thing, thank you, they do. Here's my policy, the one that I was showing you on my actual, what do you call it? On my app. Here's my policy from 2015. So I'm down a few years to go. But here's what I would do back then. I would be like, oh, first of all, congratulations, Javier. It shows me you care, you love your family, you want to take care of them. I commend you for that. Most people don't do that. But by the way, I mean, here we are in 2021. I mean, even though you've given them $30,000, did you know that you still owe them $3,000? What do you mean? 3,000? Oh yeah, you give them all that money. I mean, let's look here, July 1st, 2021, it'll drop because right now you're at $35.77 that you owe them. These are charges, fees. This is on top of everything you've given them. If you decide this is not for you for whatever reason, this is what you owe them. And by the way, they're going to take it from your balance. They won't even send you a bill. I'm sure they told you about this, didn't they? Well, no. And this is exactly what happened this week. I just laughed when I heard, because I go, here we go again. Well, no, they never told. And so when I spoke to these people, the common denominator was what? They never told me anything. And when I said, well, why didn't you mention the surrender charges? Well, because it never came up. They were really wanting more into the long-term retirement income. And I go, I get all that. But they don't ask you for surrender charges or about surrender charges. They're not the agent. You're the agent. I don't get that. And so again, so God forbid it's in the first few years. I mean, Javier, do you know that even though you're giving him $400 a month, you still owe him $6,000 on top of that? So that or $5,000 or $3,000. I mean, it's your money. You go to the bank, you give it to them, you go take it out. How much do they charge you for taking your money out? Well, the answer is nothing. Nothing. And so this is the first thing they go for, the surrender charge table, and circle whatever year you're at. We used to surrender the biggest number because most of them are pretty young policies. And so if I'm calling you up and say, hey, whatever your name is, and be honest, if you're not the one, if you're one of the ones that doesn't explain it, what would you say when they call you and say, hey, my cousin swung by and took a look at the policy you gave me, and I just want to confirm that what he's saying is true, that I owe you guys $5,000? Is that true? What would you say? Anybody?
Javier, the other problem I'm finding is that these Primerica agents are going out there and they're showing that 6,000 and they're going, you really don't have a $250,000 policy. And he goes, what do you mean? It's just because you got a $6,000 surrender charge. They don't tell them that there is no surrender charge if you die.
Sure.
They make them, that comes out of the face amount.
Yeah, that is true. That's one thing that's very, very common in these policies, and this is called the policy pickup. And that's in Primerica world. If I'm your leader or your RMD or EFC, what I always ask you is, how many policy pickups did you do this week? Because they're not really leading by selling with the policies. They lead by free examinations of your existing policies. And they find good stuff that, this is accidental insurance only or whatever. But with permanent life insurance policies, you're trained to do one thing, and that's go to the surrender charges. And 9.9 out of 10 times, you're going to get the sell because you're going to take it from this to $50 a month for term insurance that 98.9% of the time never pays out anyways. But it's a super simple switch to do. And see, the problem is not even the surrender charges. What's the problem that everybody's having? What is it? The problem is you didn't tell them. And so when somebody tells me they never told me about it, and I find that, and I go, why didn't you ever tell them about it? Well, I just didn't know. Okay, then it's a done deal. I'm out. I'm not going to try to preserve a damn thing for you because I'm afraid you're going to go do it to somebody else again. Then I'm going to be doing this in a month, a year, or whatever. And that's wrong. That's just wrong. I told you about the story from Cabo, the salesman. We have one of our friends that already bought it down there. I called them up asking to buy, so they didn't have to spend any money on acquiring me. And I told the salesman, listen, buddy, here are the terms you gave him. If you give them to me, sold. I don't even have to go see it. Sold. And he goes, all right. He came back. You got it. Exact same terms. And I told him, whatever you do, don't play games with me, because that will be the easiest sale you ever had or the easiest sale you ever lost. Don't play games with me. And sure enough, they sell me the sales contract, $4,500 more to sign here. And I replied saying, must be a mistake because we agreed on this price. Oh, the price actually went up last week. And my reply to him was, thank you for your time. Have a good life. Cancel the trip. Bye. And I told my wife, now whoever speaks first loses, because I don't care. I'm not going to do this anymore. If he thinks I'm that damn stupid. And that was it. And a couple of days later, out of random, just get a text. Here's the contract with the original price. I go, look, I almost don't want to do it because I think you think I'm a fool. And I don't like people to think I'm a fool because I'm not stupid. And so if I do it, it's because I already have plans with other people that want to do this. But if you're going to play games with anybody else, like you try playing games with me, just get out of the deal right now. And I'll deal with somebody else. And my wife was like, screw him. Request a new salesperson. And I was like, look, I'm not going to let my ego get in the way of business because we're getting a lot of what I wanted. But I'm telling you, don't insult people's intelligence. And this is what you're doing. So if you're selling it and I'm telling him about the surrender charges, stop selling. I'm telling you right now, you're not doing anybody a favor. And I mean, nobody. And so that's why I'm saying that when you've got a lot of companies, a lot of people that are leading with this. Now, let me tell you, I have had a lot of people call me saying my cousin, my brother, my sister, my whoever, my friend, swung by, took a look at my policy, and they were just highlighting the surrender charges. But what I told them was, and then they give them their spill. I don't have to defend it. I have never gotten on the phone, nor will I ever get on the phone with another agent from another company defending anything, because my concern is my client. And if you do the right thing, your client will defend themselves very, very well. Very well. Number one thing I always do, I circle those surrender charges when I explain it to my client in the beginning. When I deliver, now it's different, but when I delivered the policy in a paper form, like the one you see here, big old circle from surrender charges from top to bottom, one big old circle. Because at any point, anytime anybody brought this up to him or her, they're going to see the big circle when I explain to them the actual surrender charges. Who else wants to go next? And when you're doing the illustration, let's just say, because I don't have a good comeback. These people came to me for help, which was the worst thing they could have done, trying to save a policy from somebody who was not explained to begin with, the surrender charges. And I told them, those people really should run away from you, and you should run away from my team, because I really don't want to deal with you if that's what you are doing after so many years of me harping on. Don't be the sleazy salesperson. Don't be that sleazeball. Don't be that one that thinks that I'm just going to make a buck and not explain the surrender charges to them. Don't do that to yourself, and don't do that to your clients. Do that. Hey, anybody else about surrender charges? How would you explain? I mean, there's no wrong answer. It's all about how you do it, as long as you do it. Anybody?
Hey, Javier, everybody.
Go ahead.
I think everybody did a good job. The only thing I would add is
Please.
to let the client know up front that it's a huge benefit to them, allowing them to get in without all those costs that the company has to come up with.
Perfect. The best way to deal with anything you might be uncomfortable with is to bring it up front on your terms. And your terms are, if I'm talking to Anthony, and by the way, Anthony, I want to show you what I believe to be the best part of this policy, because I know what you're probably thinking. If you die, your family wins. If you get sick, you win. If you retire and nothing happened to you, then you win and your family wins. I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it, Anthony? Almost. I mean, that's what a lot of people think. Well, there's two things you have to be aware of that will make you understand that it's not too good to be true. Number one, your health. You have to qualify. Now, Anthony, I'm showing you my policy. This is literally my policy that if I applied for it today, Anthony, I wouldn't qualify for it. I am right now what's referred to as uninsurable in the life insurance industry. And even though I'm in the industry, I'm being very honest with you. I had some health issues earlier this year because of COVID that did a number on me and my health. And I'm just glad I'm alive, let alone that I don't qualify for this. So I can't promise you anything, Anthony, but based on what you're telling me, you're saying you have no significant health issues, no medication. I can't see why you wouldn't qualify, but I can't see in your body. So I'm not over promising you anything. But try qualifying for it, because they're going to look at not just your health, your prescription database, your driving record, your criminal record, if you're on probation or parole. They're going to take you and put you under the microscope. So qualifying is challenge number one. The second thing, which might appear not so good, but in my opinion is the best part of the IUL, are the surrender charges. Now, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and if I was to charge you for my, quote, financial advice and experience, it'd probably be a fee that you wouldn't want to pay. I'll just leave it at that. But in this example, this plan is intended to be with you for the rest of your life. Now, Anthony, obviously you love your family, your wife, your kids, and everybody. How long would you want to have that peace of mind for, knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you and your family will be taken care of, at least financially? For how long?
Forever.
Forever. Well, that means this policy needs to stay with you for how long?
Forever.
Forever. If you notice, he's saying it, so forever. And what makes this so doable for everybody, Anthony, is the fact that there are a lot of charges involved, a lot of costs involved, let's just say, in getting this policy, whether it be my compensation, whether it be the many databases that I just told you about, they have to be checked, whether it be everything that needs to be done, that if we charge it up front, even though I'm sure you could afford it, you probably would choose not to pay $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever the case on top of your monthly contribution. The best part about surrender charges is that the company will pay any and all expenses in getting your account up and running on your behalf. But they're not dumb. They want to know that you're going to keep this for the long term, because they will make their money back and then some in the long term. Now, Anthony, if there's even a remote chance that you're not going to keep this for at least 10 years, I'm telling you right now, friend to friend, don't start it, because you're not going to like it. However, if you just told me this plan has to be with you for the rest of your life, forever, the surrender charges really do not affect you unless you surrender the policy. Now, in this example, you want to do $400 a month, which is $4,800 a year. The company would pay all expenses on your behalf to acquire you as a client. However, if you bail out on them, if you surrender, and surrender means literally, I give up. Here's the policy. I just don't want it. Then they're going to want to recoup most, if not hopefully all of their money that they invested in you that they're going to potentially lose. And as you see here on year one, that would be $6,000. Now, if you do the math, $400 a month times 12, that's $4,800 that you paid in. You wouldn't get a thing coming back to you. Now, you might say, well, how about the remaining $2,000? They're not going to come after you. They just write it off. It's a done deal. But it's a charge that declines every year. And if you notice here, by the 10th year, after you've given them $48,000, your surrender charges are nothing, zero. And this is where the storytelling element comes in. Because what I would say in this example, be very simple. You know what? Let me just show you this. Oh, great. Let me put this up. Anthony, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Because what I'm talking to you about here today is the exact same product I have on my life. Here's mine. As you can see here, I pay $400 a month just like you. I have a gross value of $23,000, but a surrender value of $20,000. Meaning if I quit surrendered, gave up the policy, which why on earth would we do that? Then at that point, I would miss out on about $3,000. $3,000 is what I would be basically missing out on. However, if I surrendered my policy, I would also give up the peace of mind of the $250,000, my face amount. Now, the beauty behind this is that it declines every year, as you can see. And this is my policy, by the way, on the screen. So if we go straight down to this year, you see how we're right on track for that. The only thing we're not on track is the money. I have 23,000 gross. I was supposed to have around 19, which makes it 23, which is a great thing. And it goes down every single year. Even though it's a 10-year surrender charge period, I really call it almost 6 years because after year 7, 8, it's almost nothing. Your 9th year at $700 out of probably at that time 30,000, 35,000, which is nothing. And of course, not to mention the fact that if I can't keep this for whatever reason, let's just say I run into some hard times in life, does happen. Now, thankfully for me, I've never had to do it. I always said that it's nice to have what's called a minimum payment. Minimum payment for me, it's about $190, or call it half, $200 for you. So if you cannot pay the full 400, Anthony, you can bring it down to 3, you can bring it down to 2, and the policy remains in force. Now, it does affect the cash value, so we don't recommend you doing it for too long, but it's nice to know you have that peace of mind. Now, if I can't come up with the 400, and for whatever reason, life happens, I cannot even come up with the 200, guess what, Anthony? I can take out the 200 from the $20,000 I have in there. So you literally can pay 0, Anthony, and yet the peace of mind would continue because the minimum will be taken out of your surrender value, and that would buy you literally 8, 9 years of peace of mind. Now, most challenges come and go, as we know, and you'll be right back where you left off as soon as you get back paying the full 400. But I'm telling you this sincerely, Anthony, if for whatever reason the surrender charges are something that you can't see the value in, which I can, I've had this very same product for many, many years, and I have other products that have it. It's what makes it doable for so many of us that don't have the money or don't want to pay $5,000 for a financial expert to come in here and provide me with this type of advice. But if for whatever reason you don't see the value in it, don't do it. I have never, ever in 15 years with this company and 20 years in the life insurance industry had one problem with one single client because of surrender charges, Anthony, and I wouldn't want you to be the first because I'm being upfront with you that the 2 catches, if you would, is you have to qualify with your health, which is, by the way, harder than this. And then the second one are the surrender charges. But the money has to come from somewhere. And the nice thing is that you just told me you're going to keep this forever. Like, I'm going to keep mine forever. So the surrender charges take care of themselves over time to the point that they are 0. Okay. Any other thoughts from anybody? Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. Anybody else about any words of wisdom? Go ahead.
Just since, with the pandemic and everything, because I'm dealing with different clients now than I was before, I actually do a comparison with the term and the IUL, and then I show them, I go, here's what I'm going to show you that most agents won't show you. At the end of the term, this is what's going to cost you to renew the term. And what is the likelihood of you passing away and needing this policy before this timeline? And then they actually see that, it goes from $600 a year to $11,000 a year when they have to renew it in 20, 30 years. And so when you compare it like that, then they see that the IUL is a better value because most people, they can just pay into the IUL for, depending on how old they are, 15 to 17 years, and it'll cover them for the rest of their life when they stop paying into it.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the dirty little secrets, and this is the entire industry, by the way, one of the dirty little secrets of term insurance, you heard me say it earlier. What percentage of them actually pay out? Anybody? And this includes 2%. National Life. What is
2%.
it?
2%.
Almost. It's actually technically less than 2%, but call it 2%. Good answer. Thank you. 2%. And the way you explain it is that 98% of all term insurance in this country never pays out. Never. And so that gives you an example of where we're talking about the IUL, or the term, I'm sorry, the permanent form of indexed universal life, where we have billions of dollars being paid out in benefits. And by benefits, we're not just talking about that somebody died. We're talking about interest. We're talking about living benefits. We're talking about other things that benefit people that get their money's worth every single time. And so that's something, and again, that's a class for another day. But again, you have to know. And by the way, if you need to review this, I'm going to put this on our YouTube channel, which again, FFS on YouTube.com is how you get to our YouTube channel. It'll be there for you to study, for you to practice. And please don't sell one of these policies again in your life unless you're doing that, because you're going to be selling people very unrealistic expectations, and you're going to set yourself up to fail and fall flat on your face at some point in the future. And the worst part is that you're going to go ahead and take a bunch of people, good people, with you when they did nothing wrong, and it was you. They just simply failed to do your job the right way. And then isn't that the same as for final expense? Well, final expense is a different beast. Obviously, we're talking about whole life. We're talking about, and so I wouldn't call it a bad thing. They're just different things. That the number one challenge with final expense is that by far it never covers what policies or what funerals cost nowadays. That's probably the most common challenge, because they have to balance how much they're going to afford for the premium versus how much the coverage. And at that point, the insurance companies know that they're going to have to pay out at some point. And so therefore, they got all kinds of clauses that if you die within X amount of years, they just give you your premium back, not the coverage, and a bunch of other things as well. Questions with surrender charges in the sales process, including surrender charges, before we wrap it up? Anybody? Once? Twice?
Yeah, just the redemption period. I'm not sure if you mentioned that. I had to step away for a second, but the redemption period, if they can't pay or something like that, and they want to come back and say, oh, I have the money now. Could you go over that a little bit? Like
there is a redemption period, but the way we sell it and the way usually it falls is when somebody really starts to stops paying into it, it kicks into the minimum payment that is taken out of the actual surrender charge period that allows it to live for a very long time before they have to fully redeem it. Guys, I just want to say thank you. I got to get on the webinar at 10. I got 2 minutes to get it going. So I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I hope you find this useful. Don't take anything personal that I said. It's just that we have to have some big boy, big girl conversations sometimes. And this is part of that. It's not the end of the world. And I think it keeps us on our toes and keeps the client the main thing, which really should be the main thing for us all. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.